This is the Hawk Report. The Hawk Report combines the best journalism of the award-winning Indiana University of Pennsylvania online newspaper, the HawkEye, and the campus chapter of the National Society of Professional Journalists to report timely news, analysis, and opinion important to the Indiana PA community. I'm David Loomis, professor of journalism at IUP. Here's the lineup of news and opinion for this, the March 22nd, 2015 Spring Equinox edition of the Hawk Report. First, IU Patties 2015. For IUP campus administrators, Indiana borough authorities, and other local officials, avoiding a rerun of last year's IU Patties public relations debacle was a top priority during the weeks and months leading up to this weekend's annual student-sparked St. Patrick's Day celebrations. How did student revelers respond to the official finger wagging? As in past years, they used social media. But instead of tweeting and yik-yakking about flash mobs and party venues, they also used social media as a tool for playing cat and mouse with cops. Hawk Report producer Adam Herring monitored weekend messaging. Next, IUP tuition rates. Last month, Hawk Report producer Juliet Brapp interviewed campus officials about their recent announcement that fall tuition will be billed at a per-credit rate instead of the old per-semester flat rate. Officials pitched the plan as advantageous to students. This week, Rapp reports on her interviews with IUP students who have a different take on what has been described by critics as a, quote, stealth tuition hike. Finally, the opinion section. This week, the Hawk Report airs 3 opinions by IUP students on issues we report on today. The Hawk Report will return in a minute, but first, a public service announcement. This is the Hawk Report.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Getting support from friends online kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
Instead of smoking after I ate, I'd get up and take a walk.
I missed having a cigarette in my hand, so I'd hold a pen or a straw, anything.
Until I knew I wouldn't give in to temptation, I spent more time with my friends who didn't smoke.
I went to places that were smoke-free.
I didn't stay quit the very first time I tried.
I kept on trying, and I learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
I quit.
I quit.
I quit.
We did it, so can you.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and CDC.
Yik Yak, a Twitter-like app that allows users to post anonymously, found a new purpose for being this weekend as students took to the app to warn others of police movement and possible party busts. The app, which shows other users' posts based on location, is usually the source of reproachable postings and vile language, due in part to its anonymous nature. However, over the weekend, it served as a warning beacon to students taking part in IU Patties festivities. While some students chose to go out, others tuned in to the police scanner to follow the night's activities. Listening to chatter on the scanner then led some students to take to Yik Yak to post their findings and warn their peers both on and off campus. One such post from just before 8:45 p.m. reads, 251 Northern, police are coming for you. 2 other posts from the same time frame read, Northern 251, get your together. And Northern 251, hide yo. This showing of altruism wasn't an insulated incident, however, as this anonymous warning system continued to protect and serve students all throughout the day. One such party at Grandview Avenue stirred up an exceptional amount of chatter on Yik Yak. At approximately 5:30 p.m., a flood of posts came in warning students at Grandview to clear out due to incoming police forces. A handful of posts from that time frame read as follows. Grandview is, the paddy wagon is on the way. Paddy wagon is going to Grandview to get filled, and they're sending a canine unit to Grandview. Despite its seemingly harmless use over the weekend, the app has come under scrutiny lately as its anonymous nature has created a platform for vulgar posts, hate speech, and other less than appealing comments. For these reasons, the app's use on college campuses has become a hot-button issue. Proponents of free speech believe the app and its users should be entitled to post whatever they want, and that any enforcement of restrictions to its use around college campuses would be a direct violation of free speech. However, in most of these cases, individuals for whom the content is directed are left feeling threatened and hurt. In a New York Times article by Jonathan Mahler, published March 8th of this year, issues of Yik Yak's use on college campuses across the country were brought to light. Margaret Crouch, a professor of philosophy at Eastern Michigan University and victim of abusive posts on the social media forum, wanted to seek out legal action after discovering that she was the target of such crude and threatening comments. She's quoted as saying, "I have been defamed, my reputation besmirched. I have been sexually harassed and verbally abused. I'm ready to hire a lawyer." Such posts and comments are not isolated, but indeed a widespread issue facing many universities and colleges. According to the same New York Times article, since the app's creation about a year ago, students have used it to make threats of violence, as well as racist, homophobic, and misogynistic remarks. The article talks about one instance at Kenyon University, where a post was made that proposed a gang rape at the school's women's center. Although issues of this magnitude have yet to break onto the scene at IUP, it is unknown what course of action will be taken should such comments and threats be brought to light. But for those who missed a police bust by minutes this weekend due to the app's use as a warning system for police movement, they can thank what one Yik Yak user posted as Scanner Stuff 2K15. For the Hawk Report, I'm Adam Herring.
My name is Sue Smith. I'm 38 years old, and I work at a graphic design company. Which is funny, because I couldn't even draw a stick figure when I was a kid. But I met someone who told me, you know what? You can do anything if you really want to. And if the teenage me were here, she'd tell you,
I wouldn't be into drawing and art if it wasn't for big brothers, big sisters. Most kids from my neighborhood don't get into art. They get into trouble. But I was lucky because my big sister showed me early on that I didn't have to be like most people. And to the young me,
that meant a lot. My big sister's name is Sheila, and Sheila is the reason that this 8-year-old grows up to have an amazing job as a graphic designer.
Whether you donate money or time, you're helping Big Brothers Big Sisters help a child, and that can last a lifetime. Start something today at bigbrothersbigsisters.org. Brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters and the Ad Council.
In fall of 2015, IUP will begin a new tuition program that charges students per credit hour, a change that could make earning a double major or minor more expensive. Caitlin Fox, a sophomore marketing major, planned out her academic career when she was a freshman. She knew she would need to take 18 credits a semester in order to graduate in 4 years with 2 minors. After hearing about the new tuition pilot, she's uncertain whether she will be able to complete her minors.
Yes, I did actually plan ahead my freshman year so that I knew how many classes it would be. I don't know off the top of my head. I have it written down somewhere, but it's about, it would be close to 130 credits by the end of it. So I would have to overload some semesters or take summer classes. For me, it was more affordable planning out to take 18 credits per semester because of the flat fee. You get a discount sort of if you take that 18th credit. But with the new structure, the way it is, it's going to cost more for me to get those extra classes in 4 years.
Megan Sorton, a junior early childhood education major, said she is required to take 128 credits in order to complete her dual major.
It sucks because I take 18 credits a semester. Being a dual major, we have to take, I think it's 128 credits as opposed to the typical 120. So we're already scheduled to take more. Plus, because I transferred, I'm taking more credits a semester, so it's going to be even more expensive for me as opposed to a 15 credit.
Adjusting to the tuition change means she will have to take out more loans or possibly get a second job, according to Sorton.
Definitely more loans. We're figuring it out. It's definitely going to be a lot more stressful and a lot more work. I'm going to hopefully find a second job next semester, and working a lot in the summer, so hopefully it will all work out.
Sorton transferred to IUP from Shippensburg University at the beginning of the 2014 fall semester. When asked if she would have chosen to come to IUP knowing the tuition methods would change, she said she doesn't think so.
I don't think so. I think that I would have definitely looked into another state school that was not operating under this payment method because it's going to be definitely more stressful.
Fox said the reason she decided to attend IUP was because of the value.
The fear is more so that I'm going to have to drop something I already started, even though when I had planned it, it was, it was a solid thing. I knew how much money it was going to cost before when I planned it, and now it's being switched up on me.
So do you think switching to this per credit rate is going to affect potential students' perspective of the university as being a value and a school where you can get a good education for the right price?
Yes, I definitely think it affects how we perceive IUP. It is, of course, a state institution, but of all the state institutions, it was held as like one of the highest ranked in Pennsylvania. But now, if we have to pay so much more for this state institution education, I don't see that value being there anymore, because you're paying essentially about as much as you would pay to go to other more prestigious universities.
Fox is not alone in her uncertainty. When asked about the opinions of her classmates and friends, she said students are left with a lot of questions.
Talked about this in some of my classes and also with some of my my friends. There's sort of a panic out there now because I know people that have tried to study abroad and that are planning to study abroad, and does that mess this up? Does that mess your scholarships up? Does it mess up? There's so many factors that go into paying for college. Some people have a fixed loan schedule that they have to adhere to, and if this tuition increase makes it more difficult for them to take out the money, then they might not be able to continue on their education at all. So I definitely feel that the students as a whole are starting to feel this panic, this pressure.
The university will offer discounts in the first 3 years of the program, as well as an academic success initiative to reward students with discounts for good grades and financial needs. In the first year of the program, students will receive a 7% discount, followed by 4% in the second year and 1% discount in the final year. Fox said the discounts will not be enough to combat the rising prices.
I don't think it's enough, and the reasoning is they're advertising this tuition rate as a 12 credit full-time student, but for 4 years you need to take 15 credits, of course, as we all know. So if you're advertising a discount, you're really not getting a discount. You're just paying for the classes that you're taking as a full-time student anyway. You're just not paying maybe as much as they want you to. You're just getting what they call a discount.
Fox believes it is a risk to implement the tuition change so quickly, and the change will discourage students from being academically inclined.
In my classes, and of course as a business major, we talk all about pricing and strategy and how do you make your customers happy. But it's very strange because the way universities work, they have students are their income and their customers, and they're their buyers, they're their suppliers, they're everything, they're what the university is based on. And when you discourage students from becoming more academically inclined, you're going to decrease your prestige, you're going to decrease your brand, you're going to decrease the money that you're getting in when all those students leave or they take on community college that's supposedly going to be free in the next coming years, and they're going to take those advantages somewhere else, or they're going to pay about the same amount to go to a more academically prestigious university. So I think that there's a little bit of a mistake making this so big of a difference in year to year how much they're increasing it. It's a very big risk that they're taking at this time. So I'm really it's really going to be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Reporting for the Hawk Report, this is Juliet Rapp.
The following opinions do not necessarily reflect the views of the Hawk Report or of WIUP-FM.
This is Molly Van Wert. Academic expectations for acceptance at Indiana University of Pennsylvania, whose motto is, ironically, beyond expectations, have been amended in the university's new strategic visioning plan. The latest strategic plan, whose first draft was made public in December, advises the university to, quote, examine alternatives to standardized test scores for admission for otherwise qualified and capable students, end quote. This, according to Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs Timothy Moreland, means steering admissions officers away from standardized tests such as the SAT and the ACT and focusing instead on high school GPAs. Quote, there is a growing awareness in higher education that standardized test scores, such as the ACT or SAT, don't always give a complete picture of somebody's ability to succeed in college, Moreland said in a Friday email interview. Quote, in place of these standardized test scores, things like high school GPAs, which seem to be a better indicator of success for some students, are looked at more closely or given more weight in making an admission decision, end quote. The current requirements that must be met by high school grads applying to IUP include a cumulative GPA of 3.3, or an 88%, and an SAT score of 1,000, factoring in only math and reading comprehension, according to the university's website. A 3.3 GPA and a 1,000 SAT score both fall relatively close to the national averages, a 3.1 GPA and an SAT score of 1,100, according to collegeboard.com. While at first glance it appears that IUP is setting a higher standard with GPAs, making the strategic plan appear to raise the bar, it is important to remember that GPAs are not standardized like the SATs. GPAs vary from student to student and cannot be judged simply by a number like the SATs. The GPA is a useful tool when comparing one student to the rest of the student body at a particular high school, but the SATs are used to compare one student to the rest of the students in the country. Quote, GPAs are not standard, according to the SAT versus GPA page of PowerScore.com, an SAT preparation website. Quote, an A earned in Miss Crawford's English class in New York City might only equate to a C in Mr. Pryor's English class in San Diego. As much as the SAT may seem like an unfair assessment to you, it is the only fair tool for admissions officers to compare students from different schools and educational backgrounds across the country. End quote. By shifting the focus away from standardized testing and placing it instead on a method that varies on a case-to-case basis, a potentially inaccurate and unequal method of acceptance is being created. High school GPAs should not be given prominence over standardized testing. They should be considered alongside the SATs and ACTs. Moreland acknowledges placing the focus primarily on GPAs also has the potential to increase the number of students who are accepted to IUP, thus increasing enrollment. Quote, it means that capable and motivated students who have a good GPA but not so good test scores will have better access to IUP than if we relied strictly on standardized tests. We see this, coupled to our initiatives for student success, as making it possible for more students to enter and succeed at IUP and go on to succeed in their chosen path after college. End quote. This raises the question of whether the seemingly perfect timing of the updated admissions plan and the announcement of the tuition flexibility pilot in January of 2015 is a coincidence or the solution to a problem that the university is denying having in the first place. The tuition flexibility pilot, adopted by IUP this year, will require students to pay for their education on a per-credit basis. After the 3-year phase-in period, assuming the current cost per credit of $264 remains the same, a student taking a 15-credit semester in 2019 and 2020 will pay around $8,520 for the year, an increase of 25% from the current flat rate of $6,820 per year. The tuition flexibility pilot was adopted by IUP with intent to begin to solve financial troubles faced by the university. Quote, when the university is on firm financial footing, everyone benefits, IUP spokeswoman Michelle Freiling said in a January 29th phone interview. We cannot continue in this kind of debt. We need to do something bold to ensure financial stability, end quote. While this seems a surefire way to decrease student interest in IUP, Freiling insists that enrollment is not something the college is worried about. Quote, we do not expect enrollment to decrease, she said. I still believe the students are receiving a great education at an incredible value, end quote. However, the admissions update to the strategic visioning plan seems to be the answer to the eventual drop in enrollment that appears inevitable to all but a select few. Admission standards at IUP have been lowered and the cost of tuition has been raised, all to help solve the financial troubles of the university. The degree to which the system is failing the IUP student body truly is beyond expectations. This is Molly Van Wert.
Andrew Milliken. The circumstances surrounding the death of Michael Brown at the hands of Officer Darren Wilson have been in and out of headlines, both print and electronic, since it occurred August 9th. An issue stemming from last summer's events in Ferguson, Missouri, was the detaining of journalists on grounds that were, according to those journalists and photographers present, infringing on the media's right to film police and the public's right to know. Being able to know what the police are up to is fundamental to the difference between a democracy and a police state. How else are we as a society to ensure that those who enforce the law do so fairly? Enter Lieutenant Douglas Campbell, Indiana University of Pennsylvania's head of criminal investigations and the recently appointed interim director of public safety. One would expect relations between IUP police and IUP students to be occasionally tense, especially given the school's reputation as a party school and its students' newsworthy activity during last year's St. Patrick's Day celebrations. Lately, however, Campbell has taken the initiative to shut out the IUP student body and to defer all inquiries to Michelle Freiling, IUP's spokeswoman. In a March 3rd email exchange with an IUP faculty member, Campbell explained that the IUP Police Department's policy involving news media requests was restricted to the daily press releases. Quote, information placed on the press release is the only information that will be shared, end quote, Campbell's email reads. Why on earth do the campus police think that they can refuse to divulge any information to the constituents they are sworn to protect? Other potentially unsavory Indiana police activity involves this week's IU Patty's Day celebrations. Due to last year's PR debacle, the university and the surrounding borough took action to avoid another one. Indiana area landlords and the police were, according to a March 15th headline in the Indiana Gazette, girding for this weekend. This girding actually started back in August when, according to the August 6th edition of the Indiana Gazette, IUP hosted a meeting with the Indiana Borough Council and landlords of student rental properties. The Gazette reported that 665 landlords were invited and that, quote, discussion will not be open to the general public or the news media in order to encourage a more free exchange of ideas and comments, end quote. This is an apparent violation of Pennsylvania's Sunshine Act. In a March 15th email, an IUP properties tenant received a reminder from the landlord that, quote, your chances of getting in trouble over homecoming, Halloween, and St. Patrick's Day are exponentially higher than the other weekends of the year, end quote. IUP clearly expected landlords to inform area police of parties on their properties at the drop of a hat. Likewise, even casual partiers expected the police to suffocate them. With Ferguson cycling back through the headlines, Doug Campbell and Michelle Freiling would do well to wake up and examine exactly who has a right to know what at IUP. This is Andrew Milliken.
This is Samuel Pasega, journalism student at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Coming soon to Indiana University of Pennsylvania is the March 2015 edition of IU Patties, an annual off-campus revel that last year gave the university a big black eye. Late last summer, Pittsburgh news media drew additional attention to the university's evident behavioral problems by focusing on discount coupon books distributed free to IUP students. WTAE-TV accurately reported that Robert Moyer, an Indiana lawyer, advertised in the coupon book by offering 10% discounts on alcohol or drug-related offenses, plus record expungement. Given IUP's reputation as a school for party-inclined students, these coupons naturally raise a tumult, with some claiming that the coupons promote partying. Another Indiana lawyer who advertised in the coupon book speculated that Moyer may have worded the coupons to reach students ignorant of legal terminology. The lawyer, who asked to remain anonymous, also blamed much of the media controversy on poor word choices. And the anonymous attorney suggested that the coupon semantics simply may be a way to drum up legal business. While IUP may have a problem with its reputation, lawyers trying to drum up business by catering to the marketplace is the least of the university's concerns. For example, also appearing in the offending coupon books is a trilogy of coupons for Big Ed's outlet in Blairsville. Big Ed's advertises vaporizers, candles, hookahs, posters, tapestries, glass accessories, and lockboxes. If you're scratching your head at those last two, here's a translation. Glass accessories in the context of a place like Big Ed's is a dog whistle term that refers to bongs and or weed pipes. Big Ed's also offers a coupon for a large select glass for $20 or 2 for $30. Put another way, there's a drug paraphernalia coupon in this semester's campus special discount coupon book. Meanwhile, in 2013, IUP ranked 31st nationally in the on-campus drug arrests per capita, up from 37th in 2012 with 5.8 per 1,000 students according to Project No, a website focused on addiction. Also in 2013, IUP ranked 20th nationally in on-campus alcohol arrests per capita, down from 6th in 2012. There were 13.6 arrests per 1,000 students according to Project No. The anonymous local lawyer said it was shallow and uninformed to conclude that attorney Robert Moyer's coupons promote partying, adding that a coupon for a crematorium doesn't promote dying. In fact, the anonymous local lawyer said not one person came in with his coupon from the fall of 2014 booklet, so it's entirely possible that nobody is using these coupons, having ignored them because they weren't for food. Attorney Robert Moyer and possibly by extension Big Ed's are just trying to make a half-decent living, pay their bills, and put food on the table. As any entrepreneur will tell you, the goal is to find a void and fill it. As IU Patty's 2015 approaches, don't blame the merchants. Blame the marketplace they cater to. This is Samuel Pasega.
This is the news. This morning, we are saluting the 2.2 million women who have joined in the war effort. They now make up 37% of the workforce, changing their role forever.
The prestigious Harvard Medical School is breaking ground today, opening its doors to new female applicants.
Today, little girls all over the world look to the sky, where the first woman is now in space.
Military stereotypes are challenged today with the trailblazing promotion of a U.S. female officer to 4-star general. It was just announced that the vast majority of last year's doctorate degrees were earned by women.
We've come so far, but our news is changing for the worse. More women die from heart disease and stroke than men, even though it can be prevented. Make a change at GoRedForWomen.org today. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women.
This has been the Hawk Report. Be sure to catch podcasts of all our shows on the website of the award-winning online newspaper, The HawkEye. The Hawk Report wants to thank our friends and enablers, especially Andrea Pajic and the knowledgeable and congenial Jim Rogers at WIUP-FM. We also thank Andrew Milliken for our theme music. Listen for the Hawk Report in 2 weeks when we return with more of the best journalism of the Indiana University of Pennsylvania online newspaper, The HawkEye, and the campus chapter of the National Society of Professional Journalists. Got a comment? Got a story idea? Contact me, Professor David Loomis, at the IUP Journalism Department. And thanks for tuning in to The Hawk Report.